Alright, hey everybody, this is Bacter, and welcome to Act 4 of the Colonel's Bequest. If we recall last time when we left off, we had just seen Gloria sitting alone listening to music in the billiards room. If we think about that, finding people doing something boring by themselves is usually sort of a bad sign for them in the Lorbeau universe. So let's try our little trick and just leave briefly, and then turn around and go right back in, and sure enough, things are suspicious here. It looks like there is a little bit of evidence, though, which we have not seen as much in the past. I guess there was a poker when Wilbur was there, but here we actually have a record, a muddy thing, and some feathers. So let's go ahead and get the record. It's true, we see some spots of mud on the rug, so let's take a look at those, and I'll tell you why in a second here. If we look at the mud, all we can see is sort of a partial footprint. So we can see that that there's a partial footprint on there. That's not really enough to make anything out as far as who might have been wearing it. There'll be footprints later that we can examine, and I actually edited out a lot of time of me trying to examine this footprint with a magnifying glass, but, no dice there. So, that's no good. However, let us also take a look at the feathers that we found. I agree, Laura. I think they look extremely suspicious. And they might well have come from Gertie's feather, or from Gloria's feather boa. This is why I wanted to look at the things on the floor first. This can happen in Wilbur's room too, but it happens very quickly here. Jeeves comes in and cleans up, takes care of the mud and the feathers. I know that's his job, but he is just so good at it. And if you haven't looked at the evidence by then you're pretty much out of luck. Oh, and I forgot about that record we had. So let's take a look at it. Let's first remember how to spell, and then let's take a look at it. We can see two fingerprints, very close to each other. I'm not entirely sure what this is supposed to indicate. I guess just that two people had handled that record, although that could have easily have been Gloria and Rudy, or Gloria and Clarence, or any of the people that were in there. I guess one of them is supposed to be the murderer. As far as I know, you can't do anything like look at the sheet you saw in the beginning and look for fingerprints that look like those. They just aren't clear enough. Anyway, we know that two people handled the record. So, employing our usual... See, there's the feathers are still there, but I think if we stay in this... if we stay in this room long enough, then Jeeves comes and vacuums them up too. So, is that suspicious? Well, it's hard to say. He certainly is cleaning up the place, and that could be him removing evidence, or he could just be doing his job as a butler. Employing our usual logic, let's head this way. You might not be able to see right away what caused this time change, but once this clock fades away, we'll see that appears to be Lillian pondering Henri's weapons collection, which is maybe a little ominous, I don't know. We startled her, which is exactly what she said when we were in the dollhouse. I wonder if she's any more put together. She's apparently relaxing. I wonder if she was embarrassed to be seen checking that out or whatever. It doesn't quite look like she's putting her arm on the arm of that chair. She's just sort of holding it up there in a facsimile of casualness. Anyway, see if... No, she's just resting in a chair by the fireplace. Let's see if she says anything interesting. Because I kind of want to talk to her after that whole business in the dollhouse. Well, she just... I don't know. She's at least addressing us, at least knows that we're there, so that's sort of a step up about things. And the thing about Lillian at this point in time is, I think you sort of get the sense, especially after the dollhouse, that something is wrong with her in some way. But her responses, if you ask her things, are sort of divided into two camps. Let's say we ask about Celie. That's a fairly normal response. That tends to be, I don't know, that's what I might say about Celie. She said things that make sense. But, for instance, let's ask about Wilbur, somebody else. there's these other camps where she, I don't know, I mean, everybody's been hostile, but she seems especially angry about him. So maybe Wilbur upset her earlier for some reason. Hard to really say. Let's, for another instance, ask about Rudy and Gloria. So she tends to think that people are only getting close to Henri for his money. And about Henri himself, I don't know, that sounds a little paranoid to me. She thinks somebody has turned him against her. They used to be very close, but they are not anymore. There are also a few, so she has sort of a combination of regular things and hostile things to say. You can also ask her a few key phrases. If you ask about the estate, then she loves to hide in the old outbuildings. Now, I'd say that's odd, but we ourselves have spent a fair amount of time poking around in the outbuildings, so I guess we can't really throw stones. The interesting thing you can get from her is if you want to talk about Sarah Crouton. So let's ask about her. That is a different response than we've gotten from most people. Most people are just, I don't really know much about her. But Lillian seems to be more, upset that she doesn't really want to consider Sarah right now. And let's say that you tell about Sarah. That is frightening. I'm not sure what exactly that means. I agree that we don't know her. I don't think that we do think that we know her. But whatever. All right, keep on trucking, Lillian. So, let us, by the way, take a look in the weapons cabinet, because I think we can see that Lillian at least didn't take anything now. If she did, she hid it really well, I guess. Oh, Lillian doesn't like that. Okay. Well, I don't know. That seems sort of odd or something. I guess she doesn't want us looking in there for some reason. I wonder if she gets mad if you try to open the rifle cabinet as well. I've not actually tried that before. Yep, doesn't like that either. Well, that is more hostile than Lillian has been in the past. Well, we will have to check the weapons cabinet later, and then compare that with an earlier screenshot and see if she actually has taken anything. So, Lillian's crazy, but I'm not sure dangerous quite yet. Well, leaving the house, we can see Rudy sort of wandering around. I'm not really sure what he was doing at this side of the house. This part of the game can be quite frustrating. There are 3 people wandering the grounds outside now. Clarence, Rudy, and Ethel. Running into any 2 of them isn't a problem, but if we run into all 3, we will advance to the next act, and we will miss everything else that there is in this act, which, given, isn't a whole heck of a lot. But there are some important scenes for us yet to see. Okay, now that Lillian's gone, let's see if we can check out what's in here. So we've got boomerang, cutlass, dagger, mace, and crossbow. All right, and if we take a look at a screenshot from earlier, that looks like exactly the same thing. Okay, so at least to this point in time, Lillian has not taken any of the weapons, or none of the weapons have been taken at all, we might say. So that's good. Maybe Lillian is... clearly something is wrong with her, but she is not necessarily dangerous. Just sort of touchy. I don't think any of those 3 people will ever be in the house, which is why I'm sort of taking a shortcut through here. As I said, we don't want to run into Rudy and Clarence and Ethel, because that will sort of ruin everything. And they do follow predetermined paths, but... it's very hard to predict where exactly all of them are going to be at any point in time. Ethel is the easiest to avoid, as she tends to hang out in the rose garden and like areas up top. So we'll hopefully run into her later. And we are trying to get to the gazebo, which, if you'll remember, is on the eastern side of the property here. And hopefully we'll be able to do that without meeting everybody. Okay, there is Clarence. So that advances our clock again. We don't miss anything if it just advances once. Not really sure what he's doing going up around Seely's house or anything like that. But assuming that we can get down here without meeting Ethel. Alright, good. Unless she wanders into the screen somehow. Which is possible. But unlikely. Then I think we're going to make it to the gazebo. And we have. And I like how Laura still seems to think that this is a quaint spot for quiet reflection, even though clearly Gloria is lying very dead and very strangled with her own feather boa. So that is a shame. And they dumped her in the gazebo, which I don't really understand why. I mean, I guess maybe they were dragging her away and we surprised them or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, let's do our usual search. Appears that she was strangled. And, if we search her, close enough to search her, if we get a little closer and search her, then we again confirm that she was really totally strangled with that feather boa. That is exactly what happened. Well, sorry, Gloria. There are two more things that we really need to see before this chapter is out. I'm not even going to tell anybody about Gloria anymore. I think we all know what's going to happen. I'm going to leave the screen, and then I'm going to come back and she's going to be gone. The body has teleported. Or, I guess it's still technically possible at this stage that Laura is imagining everything. It's like I said, getting more and more unlikely. So we're just going to sort of sashay over here into one of the best scenes in the game. That's right. It is the fight we've all been waiting for. Clarence and Rudy just going to duke it out and yelling extremely non-threatening things. You get out of my sight! I guess they sort of push each other, but boom! Rudy brings the thunder and wins the fight and calls him Bud. And nothing is on either side of that island, so I'm not really sure where they're going to. I guess Rudy's going to celebrate. Oh, Clarence with the gesture there at the end. Yeah, I guess they're just going to go off and sort of be by themselves with their thoughts. So that's also Gloria. Lillian is freaking us out because she is getting crazier as the night goes on. However, Rudy and Clarence are also getting violent. We've seen everyone sort of be scared of Clarence and him having good motives as well for things. We've also seen that, the violence come out in Rudy and Clarence, so I guess we would be suspecting them for that reason. Let's go ahead and check out the secret passages around here. It's always possible that someone has been getting to the murder rooms through the secret passages, which would explain how they were able to slip in the moment our back was turned even upstairs, and sure enough, it looks like there's something on the floor down here. So, what could it be? It appears to be a cigar butt. And it's said to be a small cigar butt, so that would seem to indicate to me that it's probably Henri's cigar. And actually, I'm going to take a second here and show two screenshots that I got from an earlier play of this. You can get this cigar butt at any time during this act. And if you show the cigar butt and the cane to Lillian, she will confirm, as you can see here, that both of them are Henri's. So, either someone who has Henri's things for some reason is sneaking in the secret passages, or Henri himself. We know he can walk, so that makes it much more likely that he might be sneaking around. And I guess he's just dropping all of his things in the passages. That's the only thing that makes me suspicious that it might not be Henri, is that if it really is him, boy, he sure is clumsy, just dropping all of his stuff all the time. Well, it's that time again. It is time for Parrot Update. So let us see. Uh-huh. That sure sounds like Clarence. So, apparently he has vowed to teach Gloria a lesson. So that is awfully creepy. That might have been the cause of the fight outside with Rudy. We also just found Gloria dead, so that is not looking good. Clarence is sort of a suspect in, well, all of these so far. All of the signs, I think, so far seem to be pointing towards at least Clarence having a motive. Now, given this is a murder mystery game, it might not be the guy with the most obvious motive, but he is surely looking suspicious. You might notice so far in the game that the less suspicious characters seem to be getting killed off, and we're left with sort of this crop of scheming people. Speaking of scheming, here is Fifi and Jeeves. I think we can confirm all the rumors that they're having a little fling, and there's Jeeves doing the little butt pat there as the figurine walks by outside, just judging them. Then they go back and pretend like nothing has happened. So, aren't they ashamed of themselves? That seems like an odd way of phrasing that. He's carpet sweeping the rug. I don't know, maybe that's a carpet sweeper or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's see what they're up to if we leave and come back in. Oh, same thing. Drop all their stuff and the butt pat. Jeeves will do this infinitely, by the way. I guess that's just his patented signature move. Do you see his eyebrows in there? That man knew what his business was. Well, anyway, let's see if we can eavesdrop on them and see if we can catch any more sort of juicy details while we're at it. See what's going on with him. I think this is the first time we've seen Jeeves. So he apparently is falling pretty hard for Fifi. He looks sad every time she goes in for the kiss, but maybe that's just his face. Also notice he does a food thing kind of a lot. Called her a crepe. Now it's a cupcake. I don't know, maybe he just loves food. I think we can guess that the two cups that are in Fifi's room are for her and Jeeves, and so later I guess we'll be seeing that. Jeeves strikes me as really creepy and also sort of an X factor. I think everyone else in the game we've sort of divided into threatening for one reason or another. Lillian is going crazy, Clarence and Rudy are violent, and people are sort of afraid of them. Fifi is scheming. Celie, I guess, practices voodoo. We haven't really heard about that in kind of a while, but she does, and so, that could be a possible motive or something like that. But Jeeves, no one trusts him, no one likes him, but no one really knows much about him either. So, it's really hard to say what his motives might be. I guess if he's fallen so hard for Fifi, he might have a thing against the Colonel, but that's the only thing I can really imagine. There is one person, it strikes me, that is left, that is still sort of low on our list of suspects. Someone who has incapacitated themselves. I am, of course, speaking of Ethel Quinn, who, if we notice, is wandering around drunkenly around the Rose Garden. And she's actually moonwalking. Well, I said that she's not threatening, and also that we saw her alone at the end of an act, so I think those two things put together tend to be sort of bad signs. But, hey, maybe not. Maybe Act 5 is going to be the one that breaks it. Well, you will have to tune in to find out. Thanks for joining me this time, and I will see you next time on Let's Play the Colonel's Bequest.